Hello, travelers, and welcome back to the channel. Today is, well, a video that I wanted to make for a week, but I wanted to have some time with the Voyagers update for No Man's Sky. So, for anybody who hasn't been living under a rock, Voyagers has literally changed No Man's Sky forever. It sounds, hyperbole, and for some people it might be, considering that it only adds one unique form of gameplay for the game, but arguably the most significant one that the community has been asking for years. It also undermines other systems, and we're going to get into that. So, first thing off the bat, what does Voyagers add? Well, Voyagers adds literally Starfield levels of shipbuilding. Is it as in depth? Yes and no. While you're limited by the parts that the game provides you, the level of creativity just in the builder alone has led to some of the most amazing creations that, well, a community that's also known for making insane base builds can now do with starships. Now, people may argue, well, that's just taking one system and making it portable. Yeah, but the ship has always been the living element of space games. You can argue all you want that it's not, that base building's more important, that exploration is more important, but the ship is what you spend most of your time with. Combat, exploration, upgrading, customization. The ship is the first thing you usually interact with outside of your player character. So it kind of felt like this only made sense. And the fact that it's taken 10 years to get this may baffle the crap out of some people. But that's because No Man's Sky was initially designed as an entirely different game. What we have now is not the game design principle that No Man's Sky launched with. And for better or worse, things have changed. So, we're going to get into the good, the bad, and the potential of Voyagers. So, first, we're going to go with the good: accessibility. None of this is gated behind endgame. You can jump into No Man's Sky today, do about an hour of the initial tutorial quest, and start building your own Corvette. It's that simple. You are not gated away from this content, which was a smart thing to do, given that they've done some things that have actually gated simple core principles of the game, like exploration, behind an endgame quest. Something a lot of us were really against, didn't like, and this literally undoes that. Number two, the unfettered amount of customization. The parts, the colorization, the fact that you can then use any base decoration that you want on the ship, inside and outside, leading to not only a absurd amount of customization, but unlimited potential. Even if they didn't make another ship part for this system ever again, the amount of customization and flexibility that we have now is beyond compare. They've literally done arguably the best job in terms of introducing a system that everybody wants to engage with. Three, EVA. Now, this sounds like something that a lot of people go, well, who cares? You can do EVA out of your ship. There's really no gameplay around it. True. There's really no necessity to do it. True. But it's a space game. I should be able to go out and do spacewalks. And I would argue this opens the potential for a lot more gameplay. And I'll get into my little gist at the end of this video about why I believe this is something that they can't just not iterate on anymore. Number four, this takes exploration to a new level. Because even though this really doesn't incorporate a lot of multiplayer functionality right now, you can go with a group of people on one ship and explore the entire universe, which is the core principle of an open world MMO. Arguably, No Man's Sky isn't an MMO, but now it sure as hell feels like it. And that goes on with you can literally land your ship on water and fish from your ship. You can harvest from your ship. You can do so many things that you could do in your base, now on your ship. And I'm going to get into some other things about that. So now we're going to go on to the bad. This kind of breaks the core loop of the game. And I'm going to explain that for you. First of all, the value of parts. Even the basic ship parts are worth 1,000,000 units. Units are one of the 3 core currencies of the game that you need to progress. It allows you to purchase things like other starships, frigates, freighters. Well, now all you have to do is gather up a couple of these parts and sell them on a space station, and you're already sitting on a pile of money. That kind of breaks the beginning loop of actually starting the game. Number 2, permanence. This is a twofold problem because we're looking at the fact that now you don't need to put a base anywhere. You really didn't need to before because you could put them on freighters. But now, your ship is your base. Your base travels with you all the time. This also eliminates the absolute need for exocraft whatsoever. And this is one of the bad things that this is starting to show to me is they're not willing to stick to a design principle for the game and iterate on that. They're constantly doing things to undermine the core principles of the game and make it feel kind of directionless. Now, I don't think that's a bad idea. To me, people should be able to come in and play No Man's Sky any way they want. And No Man's Sky is giving people all of the tools and systems to do that. It's not a bad thing, but what does this say about the design principle for their next game, Light No Fire? And I might do an entire video on my worries and concerns about that. Number 4, QA. One of the consistent problems that we have had with every update this year, and most notably this one and the one previous, is the lack of QA. What is QA? Quality control. Actual testing of the systems, the modules, everything that goes into what you're seeing on the screen behind me. So we ran into a lot of things early on. They didn't realize that, well, we wanted to land at all space stations. You couldn't. You could only land on one type of space station. You could not. There were issues with using the actual module inventory that they had on space stations. It was inaccessible for the first few days of the update. Why? And they never gave an answer. Number 3, the fact that, how do I want to put this? One of the problems that we're running into now is the fact that this takes systems from base building, but it didn't test them. Again, QA testing, but one of the things that I ran into is you can build different modules on the ship. Some of them are specifically just cosmetic. Some of them are actually important. Most notably, the inventory on the ship and the planners on the ship. Now, the cool thing about this is these have unique visual identities based on the habitation modules that you put on your ship. There's 3 different types of habitation modules. One looks kind of rundown junker. The other one has a very alien aesthetic to it. And the other one has a kind of semi-Star Trek vibe to it, kind of. Star Wars is more accurate, kind of. But the modules that you put in and you construct have a unique visual to match that. That's cool. But the problem is some of these modules are strictly cosmetic. They don't do anything. Most notably, the habitation sleeping module does nothing. But the even worse thing is some of these modules, if you build them inside of a habitat pod, and then you go and edit that pod, move it, remove it, it will delete the inventory, it will delete the planners, but one of the bugs that I ran into is the plants still stay behind in my ship. They don't go away. You have to physically go in and individually delete the plants because they will keep regrowing. QA problems. One of the other things that we run into is hitting bounding boxes out in space. Now, this is because this is a system that required a lot of engineering to do, and there's bugs. Yeah, there's bugs. Not completely unsolvable, but being as this is the one update that has brought in more players to the game since launch, 100,000 people played during the launch of Voyagers and the Twitch drops. And there's still between 50 and 60,000 people playing right now, more than any population on any space game right now. That's insane. But what people are experiencing and some of the problems with it are turning some people off. Not a lot of people. A lot of people understand that this is a large procedural game with a lot of moving parts, and there's going to be problems. Now, what I want to do is bring up my fear. They've introduced so many things to this game, and they take forever to iterate on them, forever to touch upon them again. The settlement system took 3 years for them to do anything with, and it's still not really where we want it as players. I mean, is it cooler that the buildings have class systems, that they have customized visual representation of those class systems as they change? Yeah, it's cool. You get a landing pad, you get a fishing pod. That's fine, but you can't really customize your settlements. The settlements only grow to a certain point. You can't change where buildings are placed. It's all iterative. And that's a problem. So now, where are we going to go with shipbuilding? Are they going to abandon the idea of making unique ships in the game and just chronically make building parts? I'm not against that, but again, that's going to break a fundamental core principle of the game. And are they going to take out the old shipping process of scrapping ships for individual parts, accumulating a set of parts, and constructing your own ship the old way? Is that going to be completely removed from the game? Arguably, I believe it should, because it's redundant and it doesn't really appeal to people. It was one of the least engaged systems in the game by players. So where are they going to go with this? How far are they going to iterate with this? What would I like to see? Well, I'd like to see custom actual pods, like farm pods. Stuff that is similar to what we get on freighters, where we have modular rooms that we can use. In fact, if anything, I'd like to be able to actually use those modular rooms on my ship. Can we get them? That would be great. What else would I like to see? Bring in some of the tech from freighters to this ship. Most notably, the Corvettes have a problem. Their reticule, when you try to highlight planets to scan them, either can't lock onto a planet or you have to constantly aggregate and move around to actually find that sweet spot to be able to scan a planet. The tech I'd like to take is that all system scanning room that you have on your freighter that allows you to scan once and highlight every planet in the solar system. Give us that tech. The other thing is unique weapon styles. Right now, this literally just copies the weapons that we have on ships. Literally carbon copy. I'd like to see some unique ones. I'd like to see heat-seeking lock-on torpedoes, plasma guns, wormhole generators, maybe. Anything that we could do that is really unique. I'd like to see more thematic sets, and I'd like to see them not make these easily findable. So one of the cool things, and this was something that I was begging them to do for other ship parts from the old building system, is you can go down on planets, dig up salvageable scrap, and find Corvette parts. You can do the procedural freighter, and at the end of the procedural freighter, you can craft a Corvette part. And the one thing that I don't think a lot of people were bringing up, and maybe this was a fluke, I don't know, but I actually got Corvette parts from destroying pirate ships. When I was getting attacked out in space, very rarely I got a Corvette part from destroying one of those pirate ships. Literally what I've been begging for in this game for 2 years. So they're obviously willing to iterate on this to some degree. I hope that going forward, we get a lot more iteration on this. And the other thing I really want, and I think this is something the entire community has echoed, because these HAB modules are literally like 4x2, they don't feel like expansive rooms. I would like to see a mirror of the cuboid room, which is basically a square room, but when you butt two of them up together, the wall in between disappears. So you have a larger volume, and as you add more, that volume grows. That way I'd have an open concept area in my ship that I can decorate and design any way I want to. That's what I would like to see the most for ships, because right now they're cool. You can make them huge, but having to chronically go between small habitation modules to get to the cockpit, to get to the exit, to get to other rooms that have refiners and other areas to decorate in, is kind of clunky and frustrating and time consuming. Now, I can't really complain about that because I'm one of those people that will spend 15 minutes using the transit system in Star Citizen. I'm one of those people that will literally spend 45 minutes to an hour just traveling in Elite Dangerous. So I'm not going to complain too much about that, but it's something that can easily be fixed. The other thing, and this is the one, I don't know where we're headed in terms of space station control and gameplay. Right now, we're registering our identities with the space station, so there's a new interaction with the space station. I think is leaning towards station ownership. I hope to God it is. But if we're not going to get that, because that presents a whole other set of issues where, well, can player guilds actually block off space stations from other players? That might open up a whole can of worms. Well, we have EVA gameplay. Can we just make the entire building menu and base computer accessible to build on asteroids? I spent the other day, I was actually really disappointed. I EVA'd from my ship and I was checking out asteroid fields that procedurally generate around planets, and I found this enormous rock. I don't have video of it because I was doing it off stream to test something with mods that didn't work. Obviously, otherwise I would be on here telling you about it. Um, I found this really awesome large size rock. It had a volume, so I could stand on it. I could run around it in space in EVA, but I couldn't take out a base computer. I couldn't build on it. I couldn't drop anything on it. And I physically could not mine it. So, this is where the iteration on this is really important. If we're going to do EVA, if we're going to make EVA accessible to the entire game player base, let us build space stations and bases on asteroids. Give us a unique set of building pieces. Give us maybe unique mining tools. Uh, what else? EVA combat with NPCs, raiding pirate stations on asteroids. Because one of the things that when they introduced pirates, that I was hoping was we were going to get pirate bases, not pirate space stations, but like orbital platforms. Or one of the things when they introduced gas giants was is how awesome would it be? Would it be have sub-atmospheric gas harvesters that orbit a gas giant, and you EVA out of your ship and you raid them and you fight against actual NPCs instead of the creatures that are inside the procedural freighters? That would be insane. Or can we have the procedural freighter tools and use them on ships? Because that would be something cool. So give me the option to find a Corvette out in space with a unique layout based on that procedural tool, or give us the tool to use it. And this is my other thing. We can share bases on the workshop on Steam. Can we do that with ships? Is there some way of maybe letting this system form a blueprint that other people can use and let us sell those blueprints in game? I mean, there's so much potential for this. And I will stand here and say today, there are people in that company that do not get enough love and respect. We talk about how awesome Sean is, but this is an entire development team. And over the last year, the art team has really stepped up to the plate. This game has its own unique look. It's not cartoon, it's 70s fantasy space. And they have never introduced something into this game that breaks that. If anything, they always bring something in to enhance it. The ship parts feel like they belong in world. They feel tangible. They look like something and classes of stuff that you would believe that the races in this game actually utilize. And while we're on that, can we please get autophage parts for ships? Please. I want to be able to trick it out where it looks like that This is a scrap ship that a robot put together since I play, most notably, as a autophage customization. I would be super happy. Also, um, as a other thing about iterating on the game, after interacting with a lot of new players that played the expedition for the first time and were telling me about their experiences early in the game, one of the problems with this game, and a lot of people like this, is it doesn't really hold your hand. The 40-hour story quest tutorial introduces you to systems but doesn't fully explain them. And granted, that's what YouTube videos are for, that's what talking to other people in the community is for, but the onboarding for this game has always been problematic. It's been difficult for people that don't play survival games, that maybe come from a history of playing RPGs or single player games. Jumping in the No Man's Sky can be intimidating and kind of confusing. Um, as we shift gears and we're inevitably ramping up to the production of Light No Fire, the release of Light No Fire, maybe the early access of Light No Fire. Once we get past that, I really want this team to seriously look at changing the onboarding experience. I don't know if it's possible. Again, I don't know what the limitations are of this game engine. I don't know how far they feel comfortable as a dev team doing this, but we need a new player experience. And the initial questing needs to be voice acted. I'm sure that they could recruit an insane amount of cast talent, and it wouldn't cost them a ton of money to actually get notable voice actors to do some of the stuff here. Because it's an interesting story that's just delivered by text. It's uninteresting to people that don't want to sit there and spend hours reading. And yes, you can go online and just look at a lore video and get it explained by somebody else, but that's not enough. So I'm going to wrap this video up real fast by saying thank you, Hello Games. Not only for listening to your player base these last couple of years and delivering update upon update of things that we have been asking for a long time, but also by showing the rest of the industry that you earn much more gratitude, much more respect, and literally much more money from literally giving your players what they ask for. And this is my big call out, most notably to Star Citizen and Starfield, because there are these comparisons going around about how every game should have this, and I don't agree with that. Not every game needs shipbuilding, open world exploration, customizable player characters. If you don't believe me, please go play Everspace 2. Possibly one of the most awesome space roguelike games I've ever played. You never step out of your ship, you never build a base. All you are is an upgradable ship. And it's possibly one of the best games I've ever played. But for every game that has its own niche, Starfield being a single player RPG, let's be honest, that's all it's ever going to be. Maybe in co op, possibly, but for now, it is what it is, a single player RPG. Or an expansive MMO like Starfield. You need to lean into what makes your game the best of its genre. You need to start delivering to your player base what they are asking for. Because when you do that, satisfaction goes up. The willingness to spend money and invest in your product goes up. And exterior interest into your product, which arguably is the most important thing. When I can see more people log into No Man's Sky than have for the last year of Starfield, that should be a warning sign to companies like Bethesda that you have in some way betrayed the core tenets of what made you a great studio and have done the laziest implementation of what you are best at. And the other thing, if you're going to make me pay $60 for a game, I should not depend on the community to fix your game or make content for your game. Now, this isn't my call out against modders. I think modders are some of the most amazing people in the world, and many of them go on to actually have careers in the industry. Some of the best games ever made started as mods for other games. I am not shitting on the modding community. What I am saying is to studios, triple A studios. I'm not talking about single player, single person, or 5 people dev teams. I'm talking about a company that had 400 people work on Starfield for 8 years. You need to start delivering for your customers. You really do. And you can argue that Starfield was a success. I don't know. I don't believe that as much. And this isn't going to be me shitting on other games, because I can sit here and complain endlessly about Starfield. I can sit here and critique Elite Dangerous until I'm blue in the face. It's not going to do any good unless the devs are actually listening and the communities hold these dev teams accountable. Not by making threats, not by being complete cretins on the internet, by just saying, hey, look, I no longer have confidence in your ability to produce a product. And you know what? My wallet is the most important thing to me. It is what signals to you that I like what you do. So I'm going to put my wallet away until you actually do something that I'm interested in. And this should be a standard throughout the entire industry. So I'm not going to beleaguer this anymore. If you have never played No Man's Sky, I encourage you to check it out now. Now is the time. Because this will get you to understand why so many of us have stuck with this game for 10 years, why so many of us have said to many people who are interested in different genres of space games that even if you don't stick with it, please try this. Please understand that there is an entirely different genre of space games that may not have mass appeal, like Everspace, like Jump Ship, like Elite Dangerous, that may appeal to niche groups of space game players. You need to try it, please. Once again, like and subscribe. I love comments for these videos. I might come back and revisit this video in about 3 months to see what they do with this. We're probably going to get one more update this year. We just crawled into September. We may get another expedition or a smaller update just before they do the expedition reroll. And for anybody that's watching this, if you're a new player, all of the expeditions that were done this year that you may have missed out on get re-rolled in December. So all of those rewards will be accessible to you for playing the expeditions in an expedited fashion at the end of this year. Don't miss out on it. It's great content. Once again, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later.